Hey there everybody, and welcome back. For those of you that are in the market for a new or used vehicle or are trying to figure out maybe what's the best car to get or maybe what are the best years or makes or models to avoid, stay tuned. I'm going to be walking you through the basics of how to use carcomplaints.com in this video. Now before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the channel for new content. So we're going to jump in and make this a very brief video. But there are a couple things I'm going to note throughout that are going to be important. So instead of just jumping straight into the website, stay tuned to kind of figure out some of the different things that you may want to consider while reviewing this information. So the web URL is just carcomplaints.com. When you go there, you'll be able to review all the different makes and models for various vehicles. Now you can see complaints with photos. They have tons of other categories. You can look into lemon laws, all these different things here, which may be great resources. But I think the thing that people use the most is basically just looking up different years and checking out the number of complaints. So if we go to Toyota, for example, you'll see the worst model year. So they'll typically have these categories up top, depending on what page you're on. So if we scroll down, you'll see the various categories. Now there are a couple of things to consider here. Now first and foremost, these are the number of complaints, but there are some things to factor in. So a couple of things you need to consider is how many vehicles were actually sold. So for example, if we are looking at the Toyota Matrix here, just because it has 224 complaints and the Camry has more does not necessarily mean that the Camry is a worse pick overall. It could just mean that the Camry sold many more vehicles. So you need to kind of factor in the total percentage of complaints just to kind of give you a better picture. So we're going to scroll through here and we'll pick a vehicle that's known for reliability. So we're going to look at the 4Runner. Now when you click on the 4Runner, you'll see the comparison here. Bear in mind that these charts, it looks like these are typically going to range in size based on the total number. So with this being the highest number, it's at 101. If you are going to another page, for example, for a different vehicle that has, let's just say 800 complaints, this bar could be the same height. It's because the max height is basically just based on the top number of complaints. So as we're kind of scrolling through, you can see the complaints across the various model years. So for example, if we were to go to, maybe we're looking at purchasing a 2015, and we click here and we're seeing, okay, there's 26 that are listed. You'll see basically trying to figure out, okay, what are the different categories? So you'll see there's two different things to note here. We have this number here, which is 2, and then if you look below it, you'll see NHTSA complaints. So for those of you who aren't aware, the NHTSA is the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. So we're going to go back to the home page and walk down how to kind of understand this a little bit more. But the idea here is if you're seeing engine problems as a common category, then obviously with an engine being a very expensive component of the vehicle, you may want to click here and it'll give you a more detailed view. And you can actually scroll down and typically it'll allow you to break it down by category. So for example, we can scroll here and see all of the complaints that are listed. It'll typically show you the mileage, and then it'll give you a detail on what actually happened. Now, one thing to note here is try to avoid getting lost or stuck in the process of reviewing this and just reading too much into the complaints. Just because there's 16 complaints and they're all bad, if they've sold hundreds of thousands of vehicles, that may not necessarily be a bad thing. So it's just something to kind of help guide you through that car buying process. Now, when you're going through and choosing a category, you can also click Help here to learn more about what these totals are. So you'll see here when you're looking to get the complaint data, what are the totals on the graphs? So you'll see the detail or the breakdown here. So you'll see they don't factor in sales production data, but no one has the data, so they kind of explain why you don't get those overall percentages. So you're just getting the number of complaints. So that's just something that's kind of worth noting, but this will give you a breakdown as to what did the different numbers mean for each category, and then essentially just kind of help you to better understand those graphs if you're interested. And then you can also look at crash test results, recalls, investigations, really just make this as really as useful as you need it to be. So just something that's worth considering. Now, again, we'll just go back to Toyota real quick, and you can see the problem categories here. But if we choose a 4Runner and we choose a different model year, when there aren't that many details, you'll notice there's no summary up top. But if there are model years that maybe have more complaints listed, typically this will have a general summary for this make or year. And then again, you'll see higher number of complaints for specific categories, so you can kind of review those. So it's just a great resource to help you in that car buying process. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comment box below. And again, don't forget to check out the channel for new content, and I will see you all in the next video.